Welcome back to Boom Boom in Order Sports. I'm failed law student, failed life coach, and failed sandwich maker Brandon Perna. Just when I thought I could put down the old gavel, Joe Mixon and Jackson Mahomes pull me back in. Now, Joe Mixon's home was the scene of a shooting and an injury stemming from kids playing a Nerf war in the neighborhood that occurred in Mixon's yard or by his yard. Plus, Jackson Mahomes, brother of Pat Mahomes, is under investigation for assault, all while trade rumors are heating up with free agency starting next week. So let's dive in. That's good sports. If you like free videos on YouTube, subscribe here. Today's episode is sponsored by my friends over at manscaped.com/goodsports. And Manscaped just dropped their brand new Weed Whacker nose and ear hair trimmer. And you're getting a sneak peek here on That's Good Sports of it. The timing of this is rather hilarious because about a week ago, I realized I'm now growing ear hair. Ear hair, which my stock photo wife really loved helping me trim. Luckily, I just got the new and revamped Weed Whacker 2.0, which has a 7,000 RPM motor, improved steel blade system, and an upgraded cutting performance. It's cordless, and the battery will last up to 45 minutes, and if it takes you longer than 45 minutes to trim your nose and ear hair, you may have a serious medical condition, and you should seek help immediately. The Weed Whacker 2.0 comes in Manscaped's tool sets, the Platinum and Performance packages. So use my link below or go to manscaped.com/goodsports to get 20% off and free international shipping and join the 8 million dudes who already are using Manscaped. All right, let's start with some positive news. Vikings receiver KJ Osborne, along with a couple other people, rescued a man from a burning car after said man crashed his car. Josh McDaniel said, "Hey, isn't that what I just did? Save an entire team from a burning car?" "No, Josh, you sank the lifeboat, you idiot." Now, this was Osborne on Adam Schefter's podcast talking about the heroic efforts.
Initially, when he crashed, again, I didn't even see his face, so I didn't even know if he was alive when we walked up to the car. And when we got to the car, he was kind of, in a daze. I don't know if he was conscious, but I think he felt the heat coming to his legs. And, obviously we just got in a big crash, so he's kind of out of it. And, that's when we began to talk to him, try to get him out. And then, he was able to a little bit, muster something for himself before, we were able to. But without that, I think that car would have burned on fire. It would have been, really tragic.
Just incredible. And Osborne went on to say, once you come back to beat the Colts after they're leading 33-0, you feel like you can do anything. I also got to shout out KJ for perfecting the post, "I just saved a motherfucker's life" selfie. Robbie Anderson with the Y, who changed his name to Robbie Anderson with an IE, who changed his name to Chosen Anderson, is expected to be cut by the Arizona Cardinals, who have asked the NFL if that can count as 3 players' salaries in terms of cap space. Do you know how I know Robbie Anderson isn't the chosen one? Because if he were, he wouldn't have changed his name to Chosen right before getting released. There are some big name players who could be traded within the next week or two. So I want to ask you, who do you think gets traded first? DeAndre Hopkins, Derrick Henry, Jalen Ramsey, or Allen Robinson? Now, the Derrick Henry trade rumors are a little bit new. According to Michael Silver, the Titans were shopping Henry at the Combine last week, which makes some sense given their change at GM and the potential for a rebuild starting now. Henry, he's going to be 30 years old at the end of next season, and while he hasn't exactly slowed down as of late, the likelihood of a running back with over 1,700 carries playing well into his 30s is not a great bet. That said, you still have to find a trade partner who's going to offer worthwhile compensation for one of the best players in franchise history, or some compensation while taking his $16 million off the books for 2023. You know who likes overpaying for running backs, Tennessee? The Cowboys. Give them a call. Allen Robinson has been given permission by the Rams to seek a trade. Robinson's 29 years old, and after just one season in LA, he put up just 339 yards and 3 touchdowns in 10 games for the Rams, and what was ultimately one of the limpest Super Bowl defenses in NFL history. Forget run it back. The Rams didn't even try to walk it back. Now, I think there are a few landing spots that make sense for Robinson, including the Panthers or the Patriots and even the Packers, who could use a veteran receiver on their roster as they prepare to move on without Allen Lazard. Whether or not Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback there, I think Robinson makes them a more well-rounded offense, and A-Rob would be cheaper than D-Hop. The Rams are also reportedly open to dealing away cornerback Jalen Ramsey and may trade or release edge rusher Leonard Floyd. Les Snead went from fuck them picks to fuck them picks. Fuck them picks. Now, DeAndre Hopkins. Personally, I think the first player who will get traded is Cardinals ball catcher DeAndre Hopkins. He is 30 years old, but in comparison to Henry or Robinson, I think he's got the most production left in the tank. Don't get me wrong, Henry and Hopkins are both athletic freaks, but in just 9 games last year, Nuck had 64 receptions, 3 TDs. That's 7 of 9 games with 10 or more receptions, and he did it with Kyler Murray, Colt McCoy, and Trace McSorley all taking turns throwing him the ball. I know the Giants just paid Dan Jones, but if they can figure out the books with Saquon and make a move for DeAndre Hopkins, I would love to see him in New York. I think he could really help Daniel Jones make everything I said about Daniel Jones in yesterday's episode sound stupid. Even if Hopkins slows down a bit, he still has the best hands in the game. He's never really relied on speed to be a number 1 receiver, which I think gives him longevity. The other 2 teams interested in Hopkins are the Patriots, and I love that from McCorkle Jones, and oh no, not the Chiefs. If that happens, I will become the football version of the liberal scream. Hopkins also stated that he's willing to make his contract work for his next team, which means he ain't playing. He wants to go to a contender. Oh, fuck, no, not the Chiefs. No. All right, Jackson Mahomes, who is most famous for being annoying, is now under investigation for assault after video showed him forcibly kissing 40-year-old Aspen Vaughn, a restaurant owner in Overland Park, Kansas. Mahomes visited her restaurant frequently, and the two apparently knew each other. This is what she told the Kansas City Star, though. He forcibly kissed me out of nowhere, and I'm telling him, pushing him off, saying, "What are you doing?" And then he proceeded to do it 2 more times, where the last time I was pushing him off, and I can see on the cameras that somebody was outside the office door and I was yelling for them to come help because he's big and massive. Jackson is also being accused of pushing a 19-year-old waiter who works at the restaurant. Jackson's lawyer stated, "Our investigation has revealed substantial evidence refuting the claims of Jackson's accuser, including the statements of several witnesses. We have reached out to law enforcement to provide the fruit of our investigation so that they may have a complete picture of the matter." Now, this isn't the first time that Jackson has had issues with local restaurants and bars in the Kansas City area. Remember when he tried to shame a bar in KC for not accommodating his large group? And then they took to social media to respond to him like he was a 10-year-old child? Yeah, which is exactly what Vaughn called him when he repeatedly tried to kiss her. Her quote from the Kansas City Star is, "Like you're a child." And he was trying to say we should be a power couple. And I'm like, you're clearly out of your mind right now. I watched the video with him and Aspen several times, and it will be very interesting, to say the least, if Jackson's legal team, in fact, can convince law enforcement to stop investigating these allegations. Chiefs GM Brett Veach is currently trying to trade Jackson Mahomes to Deshaun Watson's family, where he, quote, will fit in better. Finally, Joe Mixon. All right, sheriff deputies arrived at the Ohio home of Bengals running back Joe Mixon on Monday night. Deputies were responding to a report of shots fired in the neighborhood, but no arrests were made after authorities blocked off Mixon's home with police tape and then searched his house. Again, no arrests made, and there's not even confirmation that Mixon was home when this occurred. His sister, who was there, stated that Joe Mixon was not involved in the shooting, which of course she'd say that. You gotta really not like your sibling to be like, yeah, right over there, he did it, my brother, right over there, he did it. Now the reason this story could turn into something more serious is because a juvenile was injured. The reports have been vague, but essentially a kid suffered minor injuries and was taken to and treated at the hospital. What has been reported is that there were kids playing in the neighborhood, some sort of classic Nerf war.
Nerf football, rah, rah, rah.
That's not an appropriate time to play that commercial. Nerf war, or as it was written, a dart war. While that was happening, someone came out of Mixon's home and fired shots into the air, which led to the teen getting hit and suffering minor injuries.
The sheriff's office confirming that part of the crime scene involves a home connected to Joe Mixon. No one has been arrested, and it is unclear if Mixon was home at the time.
The individual or someone within that home opened fire and shot off 7 rounds, mildly injuring one of the teenage boys.
At least those were the words of one of the witnesses. Now, I've read probably 6 articles about this, and I'm not 100% sure if the injury to the kid was directly related to the gun firing or just a result of shots being fired, scaring everyone, and the kid got hurt by hearing the shots. I've read articles, I've watched different news reports about it, and my best guess is that he wasn't shot, but he got hurt shortly after the shots were fired. So this is a situation where I think it is because it's Joe Mixon and his past, but the headlines of it have been sensationalized a little bit. We should know more later in the week because very little information in terms of the details of what happened to the kid have been released by the police. So there's a chance the kid could have been shot, but the wording around the stories has kind of strayed away from the fact that he was shot and just injured at the scene.
The enemy's coming, now they're in your sights.
Anyway, this news comes about a month after Mixon had charges filed against him for misdemeanor aggravated menacing, but those charges were dismissed a day later. What was the aggravated menacing? Well, Mixon was accused of pointing a gun at a woman. So again, we do not know who fired the gun here in the Nerf war situation.
Firing semi-automatic rotating turret. That means 6 arrows. No way.
Stop playing that commercial. It's not appropriate.
I'm John Elway.
I'm not John Elway.
But we do know Mixon was accused of pointing a gun at a woman in downtown Cincinnati just a couple months ago. A clip of the police audio was released, and it's kind of hilarious as you can hear them responding to what they believe are gunshots, to an officer arriving at the scene to see it's just kids playing with Nerf guns, but then realizing Nerf guns and real guns may have been involved.
And possible gunshots in the area.
One of them pulled out a gun, ran towards the back of the building. Several shots were heard. A male with a gun was seen running, getting into a Jeep. He's currently still on scene. 2 other vehicles are involved.
Everyone, it's juveniles. They're doing dart wars. Slow everyone down.
Okay, juveniles playing dart wars. Everybody slow it down.
No! You're out of luck!
Again, not appropriate. Whether or not Mixon's actually a suspect here is to be seen. This is, though, a bad pattern for Mixon, who, of course, was arrested for punching a woman in a restaurant while he was an 18-year-old at the University of Oklahoma. Joe Mixon carries a cap hit of $12.8 million for next season, and with T. Higgins still to be paid, it wouldn't be surprising if this is it for Joe Mixon in Cincinnati.
Turbo Screamer football, specially designed for the screaming sound.
Thanks for watching Law & Order Sports. here on That's Good Sports. Please follow me on YouTube here. Subscribe. I mean, shit. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow me on. Who gives a shit? Like, who cares anymore?